Hey,
Hi.
hey Amy, hey Bob. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Well,
Jack's hiding and he's just being loud down the hall, so we'll grab him when it's time for him to chat.
okay, great. Well, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to do this. There are so many people here in Fredonia who are very excited to come see the documentary later this month, and so we really appreciate you taking time to spend some time with us.
I am thrilled to be doing this, and I want to say hi to all my Fredonia people. Fredonia is near and dear to my heart, so I'm really glad the movie can be shown there, and I'm so glad so many folks can get to see it.
Great.
So,
Well,
doing it.
this actually works out really well. We'll be able to screen this following both screenings. So,
Good.
yeah,
Oh, good. I hope it's well attended.
I think it will be. And actually, since we mentioned the movie, let's start right there. How is it that you were found by the people producing the film? You know, how is it you came to be associated with it?
Well, we were at an autism conference probably 4 years ago, and um, my girls were on a sibling panel talking about what it's like to have a sibling with autism. And at that time, one of the producers approached us after seeing the girls and sort of hearing a little bit about our story. And they said, we're doing this movie. Are you interested? And we were sort of like, okay. I mean, we didn't really think much of it. And that was in like the summer. And by October or November of that year, they came to the house and sort of started to vet us and see if we didn't know much about the movie actually. So they were just trying to see if we fit the message of the movie. And after we met maybe once or twice, we started filming in January. So it took them
Oh,
a little while. It took us a while to build some trust and a relationship. They liked our story. They felt that it worked. Yeah.
great. Well, because you were not in the book, Andrew's book.
Correct. We were not in the book. The only family in the book is Jason.
Ah,
Um,
Jason
Jason was,
Knightley.
yeah, he was in the book, and um, and they chose him to be a part of the movie too.
I see. Well, now that the movie's finished and you've seen the movie, what do you think of it?
Oh, we're so proud of it, and I'll let you chime in. We are so proud of the film. We hadn't seen it at all until November of last year. It premiered at a documentary festival in New York City. So we went to New York City last year and saw it for the first time. We had no idea who was in it besides us, and we didn't know how it was going to come together. Um,
Yeah, they spend a lot of time in our lives, and you kind of forget you're on camera after a while, which just makes for good movies. But then when you think about it, you're like, wow, I wonder what made it into the film. And so we were grateful for the way they put it together. We love what got put in the movie, and we love what didn't get put in the
yeah,
movie. It was a little too close and personal there at some moments. So they did a
Sure.
great job.
yeah, we were very pleased with it. I mean, we didn't actually sit through it by ourselves until a few weeks ago. We
Oh,
always were watching it with Jack, and um, it's a little harder to watch a full film with Jack, so we were in and out and in and out. So we went to the theater by ourselves and got to watch it. And
great. I think you froze just for a second there. The last part of your statement was the last thing we heard was you went to a theater by yourself
it was amazing to
ah,
watch it alone. Just to see every bit. We weren't up and down running to the bathroom and trying to keep Jack quiet. We could just sit and watch it.
Yeah, it's kind of the focus because we have to. Like when I left, I went to check on him, and he was a little too fired up to sit with us, but he'll be coming in shortly.
oh,
Sometimes
great.
you have to check on him, and says, "Why don't you bring him on?"
He's gonna come say hi. I think
Oh, great.
Come on, buddy.
he does need his earbuds. It looks like.
Got a pair.
So we're gonna use this board to talk to Jack. But then we know we've prepared some answers to your questions.
Great.
We'll have those automated.
Okay, great.
Jack, do you want to say hi to everybody? Do you want to sit down right here? Real quick?
Have a seat, man.
So these are all the Fredonia folks. They just watched your film. What do you
Hi,
want to say?
Jack.
Rick.
How are you? It's great to see you.
Hi. E B E R Y O Y, happy, W-I-T-H, with, T-H-E, the, F-I-L-M. Hi, everybody. Are you happy with the film?
We love the film. I know we're doing this in advance, but I know everyone will love the film. I have seen it, and it's very moving.
Yes, yes. They said it was very moving. I know it's hard for you to hear right now. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
And Jack is quite the movie star in the film.
Yes, I agree. S-O. So, P-R-O-U-D. So proud. T-O. To be. E. To be. A. Space. P-A-R-T. So proud to be a part. O. F of. Yep. So proud to be a part of. Before I forget, you gotta finish. T-H-E, the M-E. Look. M-E-S-S-A-G-E. So proud to be a part of the message. O. F of. L-O-V-E. Love. A-N. D and A-C-C. E. C. P-T-N-E-S. S. So proud to be a part of the message of love and acceptance. I think I got it all.
Yes, and you should be proud, Jack. Everyone here in Fredonia is proud of you for being a part of it.
Yeah, thank you. All right, you can, if you want to take a break for a minute, you can come back. It's up to you. I know it's hard to be. Do you want to go take a break and come back? Just, your noises are a little loud.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead with Sister for a few minutes. Okay.
Okay.
We'll call you back.
He's great. He's just great.
Thank you. He is. It's just hard for him to be quiet. He's happy, but it's hard for him to actually be quiet.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
so you said in the film, Amy, and it was actually one of the most moving parts of the film, that after Jack discovered this ability, this method, this rapid prompting method, which enabled him to really communicate, you said that it was like meeting a whole new person. And how is it that you discovered the method? Is it something that inevitably you would have stumbled upon it or tried it? And what would have happened if you hadn't?
Well, it definitely wasn't something that we would have stumbled upon. I think maybe a few years down the line we might have, because it's getting more and more popular now. But, you saw in the film how we tried every single thing there was to try. So by the time our friend introduced us to this idea, we were sort of like, oh, all right, we'll give it a shot. But we weren't that hopeful because we had done so many other treatments and none of them really had these profound effects. So a friend of mine, one of the real boys' moms, went to this Halo clinic in Austin, and she told us about it.
Oh.
And I was pretty wowed. I thought, well, that's pretty powerful. I think we'll try it. It took us about a year to get off the wait list and actually go see Soma. I mean, Soma, you saw her in the film. She's a little bit of a rock star in the autism community.
Okay.
So, because she really impacts kids' lives so profoundly. So, we went to her in November, but we wouldn't have necessarily tried it because it was expensive. It required us traveling across the country.
And we were candidly just getting to the end of rabbits to pull out of the hat, because you hear all these things and they all cost thousands of dollars. And when you have a lot of money, you throw it at it, and then you have less, and you keep throwing it, and after a while, you got to put the brakes on. So candidly, we were basically out of money and saying, can we do this last one, or is it just like all the other things that we were chasing?
Right.
So we were fortunate that when we had a few dollars left, that's gone now. And but it was the last thing we did when we were really questioning whether to do it or not. was the one that paid off, and it was just awesome.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who quit just because it's just frustrating. You fail a lot, and you run out of money, and you fail. You know, you just get tired of failing. You go, well, I'm going to get comfortable, and I'm just going to ride it out.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of people whose kids could type, but they've already just found their their place of comfort, and they're tired. And I get it.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting watching the two of you in the film. We could see you in the background, and you could see your demeanor actually change as Jack was learning that. You suddenly were sitting forward more, and there were these smiles on your faces. So
and lots of tears. I mean, lots of tears at the end with that last when he finally got the whole sentence out, which we have hanging upstairs in our house. That was when he finally got it out. It was sort of like, you know,
I am trying, and I'm very smart.
Yeah. Yeah, and he is really smart.
That's great. That's great. How I was intrigued watching that. What type of schooling had Jack had in advance, and did it appeared as though he knew how to spell when he was communicating that? And did you know that he knew how to?
I mean, just like I said in the film, we assumed, I in particular, that he was impaired. So, but what we didn't know is that while he was in special ed all those years, he was learning, and he was taking in things, and he was learning to read and to spell. We just didn't know it.
And that was one of the big objections to the school when we had him mainstreamed in 6th grade. They said, well, it's not fair to the boys. We're putting them in 6th grade, and they haven't had 1 through 5, or was it 5th grade?
5th grade.
5th grade. Stop me. I'm on a roll. 5th grade. All right, so they hadn't had any of 1 through 4, and so we were like, no, got them in, and we really had no idea. And sure enough, they all got straight A's. They just been sitting there like sponges.
So they had been learning all these years, but they just didn't have a way to get it out. So by the time we got the real boys into their current education, their mainstream education, they were off and running, ready to show the school system how smart they really were. But they were all in segregated special education classrooms prior to this.
So that Jack calls them his tribe. You're
tribe,
the real boys.
Yep.
So that's how he encountered them, and they became the tribe. They met through special education.
They did, and all of the moms would get together weekly with the kids and type, and that's how we finally got the school system to approve this. Was they came to watch the boys type one day, and Harry, who you saw in the film at the end, one of the real boys, he typed to an educator, please help me get the education we deserve, or something to that effect. And once she saw that, they were in.
So
that's how it started.
So the aide that is in the film, that's with Jack in school, that's someone that he has, and the school provides that, and
the school provided him, and that's Brian. We don't have him anymore, unfortunately. We love him. He does help out once a week. But yes, the school does provide that person. They hire that person. We train, and the school helps train that person. And then, we have a new one this year, but we had one last year. So it's better when we have the same one, because they get to build a relationship.
Relationship with Jack.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
And it's worth it for us to pay to have them trained a little bit and spend some time outside of school to we were allowed to make sure they can do the best and have the best practices.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's incredible, and he seems to be able to interact with there were some sensitivity with some of the other boys. They're not the real boys, other schoolmates who don't seem to understand and grasp the Jack's abilities, but hopefully they're learning as well.
They are. I mean, Jack's all about awareness and advocacy, and I think they are learning. And the schools that he's in, that was middle school, he's in now high school. The kids are really good for the most part. I mean, there's always a few that aren't so good, but for the most part, they're getting used to the boys, and they're treating just like regular peers.
That's great. That's great to hear. You talked earlier, you mentioned that Emma and Elizabeth were on a panel talking about the impact of having an autistic brother. And tell me a little bit about the impact that that has had on the entire family dynamic. I would imagine it can be very stressful at times and difficult to deal with, even now.
Absolutely, 100%. It's a blessing that he can communicate, but when he couldn't communicate, and even now, even when he can communicate, it's not easy to have him as a sibling. I'm certain we're talking about what it's like the girls growing up with you, and it is hard to have Jack as a brother, but it's made us all better people, and it's made my girls in particular advocates for the special needs community and people like their brother, and they're amazing advocates for him. And so I think even though it's been really hard and we have a lot of frustration some days, it's made us better. It's made us as better as a unit too.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you have been, when we talked on the phone prior, you mentioned you've done a number of these interviews and appearances at films, and you have heard through questions that audience members there have asked about what has happened with the other families in the film,
right,
just through Andrew Solomon's answers and other people associated with the film answering that question. What has happened with some of the other families?
Yeah.
Because it kind of leaves it does leave you hanging a bit with some.
It does.
By the way, Jack just interjected. I'm so glad that Elizabeth and Emma are my sisters.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah.
I'm sure they're glad that you're their brothers.
Yes, I'm certain of it. Yeah. That was sweet, buddy. So Leah and Joe had a baby at the end of the movie, and her name is Hazel, and she is average size, and she's about 2 years old right now.
Oh boy!
And in June of this year, they just had another baby, Silas, and he is also average size.
Wow.
So I just think it was a great way to end the movie. I mean, we've talked about what happens when you have a child different from you, and then they ended up having an average size child, which was just a great way to end the movie. So they're doing well, and they were just in they had a little coverage in People magazine a couple weeks ago, so they're doing really well. Jason, we just saw Jason in The Three Musketeers in Connecticut. They were at a screening with us, and he's doing great. He's planning a trip to Norway.
Oh, to meet Elsa.
But I think he's aware he probably won't see her there. And well, who else? Let's see. The Reese family. I do talk to Lisa quite a bit on Facebook, and they just celebrated an anniversary, and they're doing okay. They this film created a lot of press for all of the families, and they were one family that in their new home, no one knew about their story.
Oh, sure.
So it was going to be very challenging, and they had a lot of worry about the movie coming out and people finding out. But I think for the most part, they've gotten some positive feedback. Andrew was really adamant about having their story in the film. He didn't want it to be just all about differences and disabilities. He wanted it also to be about what happens when you have a child that commits a heinous crime that you couldn't control, but you still love that child. And he was really adamant about that. So everyone is doing well. I'm trying to think of Leonie. I don't have any updates really on her. But everyone's doing good.
And Andrew and his dad. His dad seems that there's acceptance there, and that they seem to have a good relationship.
Yep, and Andrew's dad was at the screening that we were at in July, and he's profoundly proud of Andrew and the film, and very nice man. And Andrew also, I think, knows in his heart that if his mom were alive, she'd also be very proud of the film and how far he's come. And Andrew's doing great too. We keep in touch, and he's doing really well.
Great.
He's proud of the film. We're all proud of the film and how it came out.
Well, you should be. It's a wonderful film.
Thank you.
Is there anything I haven't asked that maybe has been asked in other interviews, or that you particularly want to address?
I don't think so. I think the message of I hope this film resonates with everybody, not just because they know us in it, but because it sends such a great message to everybody, whether or not you have a disability or a difference. It just has a beautiful message about love. And Bob always says, love your child for who they are, not who you want them to be. And that's sort of been a mantra in our house for all these years. And I think parents and just people in general, that's kind of the message I want them to take when they leave the theater, that just love the people in your lives for who they are. And I think we'd be much better off.
I think so too. And
Yeah.
it'll extend that beyond the family even. Love people for who they are.
Absolutely, yeah. I think if you'd like, I can do the automated or voice output for Jack's
Sure.
question.
Yep.
Do you have anything to add, Jack, that I missed? No. Okay, hold on. That was a private. Jack types private things occasionally.
That's okay.
Of course he does.
Of course.
All right.
Ooh, look out, incoming.
Poster down. Okay, so this is, technology. It's great, but give me a minute. I'm cutting
That's all
and
right.
pasting. So, the first question I have is, do you feel like the movie helps people understand you better, and now how to relate to you more?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, amazing to see what one film can do to open people's minds. Happy that people seem moved by the film, clearing assumptions stuck in long-term collective memory. To the point of relating to me, I am still waiting for the all-heavenly day when some girl my age openly sees me as boyfriend material.
I loved his line when we were talking. He was getting braces, and he said, "Look out, girls," or "Here I come, girls."
Yes. He's definitely girl crazy.
He wrote a short story for English that was called The Blonde Girl. That was just fall out of your chair funny.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a teenage boy.
Of
That
course.
It's all working.
That's for sure. So that was one of your questions. Another question that you asked of Jack was, do you think about the future? And if you do, what does it entail? And this was his response.
Of course, the future is on my mind. What happens after high school? Will someone want to marry me? Will meaningful jobs be autism-friendly? And where will I live? All these things worry me, but I try not to get too crazy. It's my mom's department.
Thank God for moms.
It's true. I do all the worrying.
He said that. That was not me. That was him.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I do all the worrying for the family. Okay, here's another question that you asked about what's the best part of your day?
The number one part is to be my school. To be a part of fun teenage chaos truly brings me joy. Love that I fortunately receive a real education when not many autistics do. Path to studious life is my hardest-earned treasure. For me, being at parties like other high school kids is not much fun. World of learning is my preference.
Oh.
Yeah, he's
Yes,
really grateful for education.
and you must have a real penchant for knowledge, it sounds like.
He does, and he really likes to learn, and obviously being a typical teenager is not his thing.
He's really sensitive to bullies and name calling. Like the R word drives him crazy, and he has an amazing sense of hearing, so he hears everything.
Yeah.
And there are people who are cruel and maybe think they're out of earshot, but they're not.
Yeah, that's hard on him. But that I would say that is getting better, or at least people are getting better about it. All right, the last question, I think it's the last. What do you think of the movie, and what is it like being famous?
photographs, and now that I'm a star, I need a hot girlfriend. Mom, can you display my digits?
And I had to ask, display my digits means give out his phone number.
Phone number, yeah.
But, so those are, I think, did we get all of his? Oh, maybe, is there one more? I think we got them all.
That was it, yeah.
I think we got him, yeah, good.
He has a way with words.
He does.
He certainly does. And he's, in many ways, a typical teenager. Boy, oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
He really is. And that I have to remember that, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us. You guys are incredible. Jack is incredible. And please know that we're all sending you our love and well wishes. And I know for so many people here in Fredonia that this is the highlight of the movie, just seeing and hearing from you guys in person.
Well, we love Fredonia, and hi to everybody, and thanks for supporting the film. I appreciate it.
Great. You
All right.
take care now.
Take care. Bye, Rick.
Bye-bye.